I swept the bedroom yesterday, and underneath the bed I found a fine gray powder in a little shifting spread of nothing much. But when the sunbeam caught it as I moved the rag, it swirled up in a galaxy, a tiny poignant flag of what was. It wasn't just dirt, it was the dust of love, the ground up desiccated remnants of the things we're up when we're together. Just dust of love, skin cells we shed and sleep and play, the pollen from the flowers you brought home that one May, dried and crumbled, a bit of thread from your old sweater, ground to bits, the ash from all the candles of our silly hopeful wish. And evenings, oh, this dust of love is the archaeology of us, a fine, mundane and sacred, ordinary dust that once was life. Sweep it up, I left it there, a tiny sacred mountain, a burial plot for feelings that have settled on the ground of reality. The dust of love is all that's left to hold of the physical shared presence, now gone quiet, now gone cold and particulated. Doesn't hurt, it's soft, it's just a fact, the final settled state of our romantic tender pact in particulate form. Just dust of love, skin cells we shed and sleep and play, the pollen from the flowers you brought home that one May, dried and crumbled, a bit of thread from your old sweater, ground to bits, the ash from all the candles of our silly hopeful wits. And evenings, oh, this dust of love is the archaeology of us, a fine, mundane and sacred, ordinary dust that once was life. Maybe our love ends as dust, maybe the grandest fire leaves just a soft gray powder, a quiet, cool desire for nothing. Maybe we're just temporary constellations of this stuff, bound by gravity for a while, and then enough, we return to the dust of love, anonymous and fine, ready to be part of someone else's grand design in a billion years. Just dust, dust of love, the most honest thing lived. It's written on the napkin, tucked inside a book I never read. Someday we will statement in a handwriting now dead. To me I found it cleaning, a slip of faded ink, a tiny wrinkled artifact that makes me stop and think of how light we made the future, how we tossed it off like lint, not knowing it would gather dust that every hopeful hand would settle under time. There's dust on the promise of fine, forgiven silver. The words perish and spring over the guilt. I shouldn't feel it softens the edges of the letters, makes them blur. A merciful erosion of what we did, prefer to ignore. The dust on a promise is the peace that comes with neglect. When a dream is so forgotten, you cease to expect. It's fulfillment. I could wipe it clean, unfold the paper, hold it to the light. But the dust is part of the story now. It makes the promise right. In its failure, the clean, crisp vow would be a sharper, crueler thing. A rebuke. The dust is a patina, a gentle covering for a wound that's almost healed. So I leave it in the book. Let the dust on the promise be the final peaceful look I ever give it. There's dust on a promise of fine, forgiven silver. The words perish and spring over the guilt. I shouldn't feel it softens the edges of the letters, makes them blur. A merciful erosion of what we did, prefer to ignore. The dust on a promise is the peace that comes with neglect. When a dream is so forgotten, you cease to expect. It's fulfillment. Maybe all promises collect their dust in time. Maybe their purpose isn't to be kept, but to be a paradigm of a moment's perfect faith. The snap can fade, so cheap and so profound, all fossilized in pages under dust, underground. Of other plans, I'll close the book, I'll put it back upon the shelf. The dust on the promise can't keep it to itself. A tiny quiet relic, just a dusty scrap. Dust on a promise, better that way. It hangs from the porch ceiling, a delicate wrought iron dome, a tiny Gothic palace that once was a feathered home. For a canary you gave him to me on a birthday long ago. A flash of yellow song in a world that moved too slow. For my heart he'd sing a sunrise, a piercing joyful thread. We'd feed him seeds together. You'd gently scratch his head through the bars. Now it's just an empty birdcage a skeleton of song, a monument to music that didn't last for long enough. The door swings open to a sky he'll never reach, a silent swinging pendulum, a lonely metal speech of absence. Oh, this empty birdcage, it's a metaphor too neat for the heart you left behind that once knew a joyful beat and a melody. I haven't taken it down the wind, sometimes we'll make it chime, a hollow tuneless ringing, marking out the empty time. Since you both left, the bird flew off, his tiny heart gave out, and you just flew elsewhere without a single doubt or look back. So the cage stays a beautiful and useless thing, a reminder that the brightest songs that summer days can bring will enter. Now it's just an birdcage, a skeleton of song, a monument to music that didn't last for long enough. The door swings open to a sky he'll never reach, a silent swinging pendulum, a lonely metal speech of absence. Oh, this empty birdcage, it's a metaphor too neat for the heart you left behind that once knew a joyful beat and a melody. Maybe I should put a plant in some ivy, something green to fill the space with growing life, to cover up the scene of loss. But that feels like a lie, a cheerful forced disguise for the truth of the vacancy under these blue skies. So let it be empty, let the wind play its sad tune, let it be exactly what it is, a beautiful rusting moon that holds no light, just a cage, empty birdcage, singing of what's flown. A delicate finger-picked guitar pattern, soft, mournful whistle mimics a bird's song, and the instrumental breaks. The vocal is tender and sad. The song ends with the sound of a light wind chime and the final guitar note. The bucket hits the bottom with a dry and hollow clang, a sound that echoes upward, a familiar aching tang of nothing I've been drawing from this source for far too long. Through drought of conversation, through the right and through the wrong of our silence, I kept lowering the roll with a hopeful strain and prayer. But the water tables vanish, there is nothing, nothing there but dry stone. This is an empty well, my thirst has drained it to the core. I drop my love in bucketfuls and you always ask for more, until the source gave out. Now I peer down into the deep, cold dark and see my own reflection, a fragmented, lonely mind. precious seed will rise within the mud. A new reserve, but it won't be for you. It will be for the land, for the roots of my own being, to help me finally stand and walk away from this stone circle, this empty well can be a reminder not to draw so hard, to let the water be, and to know when it's gone. Just a hole in the ground, empty well. My love was not a bottomless spring. I lie here in the darkness and I listen to the sound my own lungs making, filling in the stillness all around. This empty bed is shallower than it used to be, a fade. And care for aspiration, with the hint of an acquaintance with an end. I match its rhythm, in and out, trying to find the peace in what the silence is about, the slowing down. This fading breath is the last conversation with the air, a whispered negotiation, a solitary prayer for one more. It doesn't rage, it doesn't gasp, it doesn't fight, it just grows a little softer, fades a little from the light of awareness. Oh, this fading breath is the most lonely sound I know, the meter of my aloneness, in a steady slow and flow towards stillness. I think of your breath beside me, the deep and sleeping tide. They used to pull me under to a place where I could hide from my own thoughts. Now there's just this mono rhythm, this solo, shallow sea, this fading breath that's learning how to be enough for me to survive on each inhale. Feels like a question, each exhale a release of a hope that once was buoyant, now replaced by a slow peace with emptiness. This fading breath is the last conversation with the air, a whispered negotiation, a solitary prayer for one more. It doesn't rage, it doesn't gasp, it doesn't fight, it just grows a little softer, fades a little from the light of awareness. Oh, this fading breath, it's the most lonely sound I know, the meter of my aloneness, in a steady slow and flow towards stillness. Maybe this is how a heartbreak ends, not with a shattered scream, but with the gradual quieting of a once vibrant dream. At the cellular level, the fading breath is the body's elegy for a love that was its atmosphere. Now it's learning to be its own environment. One day the rhythm might grow strong again, a new wind for a different sky. But for now, just remain here, listening to it fading and out, fading breath. used to move through a room with a kind of easy light, a certainty of welcome, a gentle inner might. You gave me, you looked at me like I was a work of art, and that gaze became the canvas. It became the very heart of my grace. I stood up straighter, I smiled softer, I was kind. The reflection in your eyes was the best I'd ever find of myself. Now it's just fading grace, a posture I can't quite maintain, a light that's growing dimmer through the constant silent rain of your absence. My shoulders slump a little more each day. The kindness feels like effort, the beauty's worn away. The grit of this fading grace is slipping through my fingers slow. The elegant composure that I used to wear and know is unraveling. Catch my reflection now in windows, and I'm surprised by the tired lines, the weary look deep in my own eyes. I searched the grace, was a garment woven from your admiration's thread, and without your constant weaving, it's unraveling. You said it would I'm becoming something rougher, something more akin to my raw, unpolished, solitary origin. The beauty's worn away, the grit, oh, this fading grace, it's slipping through my fingers slow. The elegant composure that I used to wear and know is unraveling. Maybe grace was never mine to own, maybe it's a loan from the eyes of the beholder, and when that beholder's gone, it must be returned. Maybe my task now is to find a grace that's true, that doesn't need your witness, that grows in ground that's new and untended, a wilder, hardier, more resilient kind that weathers loss, that isn't beautiful but is defined by endurance. Let it fade, fading grace, make room for what's real. I made a list on Monday in a firm and steady hand. Get up at dawn, be productive, reclaim this barren land of my life. I vowed to cancel the reminders of your name to clean out every closet, to play a different game. Without you, my resolve was like a granite wall, so high and sure, a fortress I constructed to finally endure the mission. But it's just fading, resolved by Wednesday. It's a crumbling shore. The tide of a memory comes in, and I can't fight it anymore. With willpower, I sleep past noon. I wear your old sweatshirt to bed. I let the dust bunnies congregate inside my head and my house. Oh, this fading resolve is the quiet death of the tribe, the acceptance that some losses you cannot rectify with a checklist. I see the list there on the fridge, a cheerful mocking light, in bullet points each unchecked box is a reason why I am failing, but the word failing implies I had a chance to win. And maybe I never did, maybe from the very origin of this pain my resolve was just a desperate pretty dream, a temporary scaffold over a bottomless dark stream of grief. But it's just fading, resolved by Wednesday. It's a crumbling shore. The tide of memory comes in, and I can't fight it anymore. With willpower, I sleep past noon. I wear your old sweatshirt to bed. I let the dust bunnies congregate inside my head and my house. Oh, this fading resolve is the quiet death of tribe, the acceptance that some losses you cannot rectify with a checklist. Maybe resolve isn't the answer, maybe the answer is the fate, the slow surrender to the process, the messy unmade bed of healing, to let the resolve dissolve like sugar in the rain, and just be the sadness without judgment, without pain. At the pain itself, the fading resolve might be my body's wiser part, saying you cannot think your way out of a broken heart. You must feel your way through. Let it fade, fade in resolve. Just be here now. In the long light of the evening, when the sun is low and thin, my shadow stretches out before me on the pavement, on my skin. A companion, it's a caricature of me, all elongated gray. A silent, stretching partner in the solitary space I walk through. But as the sun dips low behind the rooftop line, my shadow starts to soften, to gently undermine its own form. Now it's just a fading shadow, losing its defining edge, becoming just a darkening, a vague and blurry pledge of formlessness. It doesn't mimic me, it doesn't know my shape. It's just a pool of absence, slow and gentle scrape of darkness on the concrete. Oh, this fading shadow, it's a lesson in the light, that everything would form must surrender to the night and disappear. I think of your love as a shadow, one so sharp, so clear behind, matching my every movement, a presence I could find without looking. But as the light of our connection set, it grew softer, longer, fainter, until I never knew where I ended and your memory began. Now it's gone, just this general gloom, this fading shadow of the sun. That was us, now it's just a fading shadow, losing its defining edge, becoming just a darkening, a vague and blurry pledge of formlessness. It doesn't mimic me, it doesn't know my shape. It's just a pool of absence, a slow and gentle scrape of darkness on the concrete. Oh, this fading shadow, it's a lesson in the light, that everything with form must surrender to the night and disappear. Maybe in the total dark there are no shadows at all. Maybe that's the piece I'm moving toward, the final call of integration, to be so one with the absence, that there is no separate shade of loss. My fading shadow is the in-between, the frayed transition. I walk until it's fully blended with the ground, until the night has taken every differentiated sound and shape of you. Almost gone, fading shadow. Soon just me in the dark. It stands on the jagged point where the land gives up the fight, a sentinel of limestone washed in salt and fading light. For decades once his beam cut through the fog and howling gale, a steady sweeping promise to each desperate wooden sail to gather him home. But the ships use GPS now, a colder, sharper guide, and the lighthouse is a relic with its lonely glass-eyed pride turned inward. It's a forgotten lighthouse, keeping watch for no one's storm, a monument to warnings that have taken a new form. Its light still spins from habit, but it doesn't touch us, so just paints the empty circling rocks and doesn't make them whole or safe. Oh, this forgotten lighthouse, it's how I feel most days. A sturdy, useless structure sending out my sweeping rays of care to an empty sea. I climb the spiral staircase to the room where lenses gleam, and look out at the vastness navigated elsewhere, found a different, brighter shore, and I am left here forgotten, turning forevermore, lighting up the past. Ooh, it's a forgotten lighthouse, keeping watch for no one's storm, a monument to warnings that have taken a new form. Its light still spins from habit, but it doesn't touch a soul, just paints the empty circle in rocks and doesn't make them whole or safe. Oh, this forgotten lighthouse, it's how I feel most days. A sturdy, useless structure, sending out my sweeping rays of care to an empty sea. And maybe one day a storm will blow, a ship will lose its way, and in the dark and panic they will see my ancient ray and be safe. Maybe my purpose isn't gone, just waiting for the night when all the modern systems fail, and my old faithful light, it is the only one that's left. I'll stand here forgotten but still strong, still turning, still believing I belong to a story of rescue. The light turns, forgotten lighthouse, waiting for a ship that may never come. The walls aren't made of stone or brick. There are no bars of steel. The architecture is invisible, but the confinement's real. And total, she built it with the choices, with the fear, with the yes, to a love that demanded less and less and less of her spirit. The guard is her own memory, the lock is her regret. The sense is the loneliness she cannot quite forget. She chose, this is her prison, she holds the only key, but it's buried in the chamber where she's too afraid to see what's outside. The routine is a comfort, the small cell is a known hell, better than the vast and terrifying where she might just fail again. Oh, her prison, it's a gilded, quiet cage constructed in the aftermath of a devastating rage that turned inward. She decorates the corners with photos of the sun, with books about far places, with dreams she's left undone on purpose. The window is a high and narrow slit. It shows just enough of freedom to make her doubt the fit of these walls, but the doubt is fleeting. The familiar chill sets in. This is her prison, and the greatest of her sins is that she built it well. This is her prison, she holds the only key, but it's buried in a chamber where she's too afraid to see what's outside. The routine is a comfort, the small cell is a known hell, better than the vast and terrifying where she might just fail again. Oh, her prison, it's a gilded, quiet cage constructed in the aftermath of a devastating rage that turned inward. One day a crack will form storm, not in the wall, but in her will. A sliver of what if that the routine cannot kill. With its sameness, and she'll scratch at it with a fingernail of hope, and the crack will spread like lightning, giving her the scope to imagine the door. Her prison will become a choice, not a fate, and the key in her own chest will begin to resonate with the new old song, freedom. The walls are in her mind, her prison, and the door is in her hands. The ladder rise without fanfare, a gray and gradual sea, into the room's corner, from a sleep that was not deep. Oh, kindness is a hollow dawn, it brings no promise, no new start, just the same four walls and the same ache in my heart. As yesterday, the sun is just a lighter shade of gray, a blend, revelation of the emptiness across this barren land of sheets and silence. This hollow dawn offers nothing, no birds sing, no colors blaze. It's just the night politely thinning in its dull and different ways. It highlights nothing beautiful, it only serves to show the dust, the cracks, the loneliness, the painfully slow passage of time. Oh, this hollow dawn is the cruelest time of day. It takes away the blanket of the dark and makes me pay in exposure. I used to love the morning, the potential in this hue, the way you'd stir beside me, and the world felt fresh and new. In hours now, the morning is an enemy, a vacant staring eye that asks me what I'll do now, and I have no reply. But to endure it, this hollow dawn stretches on for hours, thin and cold, the punishment for waking, for growing old without you. This hollow dawn offers nothing, no birds sing, no colors blaze. It's just the night politely thinning in its dull and different ways. It highlights nothing beautiful, it only serves to show the dust, the cracks, the loneliness, the painfully slow passage of time. Oh, this hollow dawn, it's the cruelest time of day. It takes away the blanket of the dark and makes me pay in exposure. Maybe one day a real dawn will break with gold and with the sound of something like hope. But for now, this hollow dawn is the ground I must walk on. I must get up in it, make coffee in its light, perform the daily rituals and pretend that A vast and empty canvas where I cannot remember why I used to love to paint. Another day, hollow dawn, begin again. Deep resonant drum pads that create a sense of vast emptiness. A single repeating piano note plays at long intervals. The vocal is numb and detached. The track ends with the drum fading slowly, leaving a true star says. I try to write a ballad to get this feeling out, to give the ache a melody, to give the grief a shout and tune. But every line I write just echoes in a vacant hall. Every chord progression feels predictable and small and meaningless. The notes are just vibrations without heart, a technical arrangement, a superficial art of sadness. It's just a hollow song, it has no center, no real chord. It's a performance of emotion, it's a beating on a door that's already open to an empty room. It doesn't soar, it doesn't break, it just repeats what's been said before by better, truer voices. Oh, this hollow song, it mocks my pain. It proves that even my creativity is drained by your leaving. I used to write you love songs with clever turns of phrase. They flowed like honey, catching all the sunlit golden days in rhyme. Now the well is dry, the muse you were has left the land and left me with this hollow song, this clumsy failing hand, trying to sculpt a feeling that's too vast for simple sound. The hollow song is all that my broken heart has found to offer. It's just a hollow song, it has no center, no real chord. It's a performance of emotion, it's a beating on a door that's already open to an empty room. It doesn't soar, it doesn't break, it just repeats what's been said before by better, truer voices. Oh, this hollow song, it mocks my pain. It proves that even my creativity is drained by your leaving. Maybe silence is the truer music for this kind of loss. Maybe the hollow song is just the static, the faint dross of a signal that's gone dead. I should stop trying to transmit. Put down the guitar, close the notebook and just sit in the quiet. But the habit of creation is a hard one to break. So I'll write this hollow song for my own empty sake and call it done. The last note rings, hollow song, fading into nothing. Sunday morning in the silent early gray, a final gentle blanket at the end of our last day. Together we stood at the window, watched the flakes descend so slow. A peaceful white surrender to a truth we didn't know how to speak. You made us cocoa with marshmallows floating high. And for an hour the world was soft and it was okay to cry without a reason. That was the last snowfall we would ever watch as us, a silent holy sacrament without a single fuss or argument. It covered up the footprints leading to the door. It made the future blank and clean, a vast and empty floor of possibility, cold and pure. Oh, the last snowfall, it was a gift, a beautiful cold closing, a celestial gentle lift of the burden of goodbye. When it stopped, the sun came out, a weak and hesitant shining. The snow began to glisten, a million diamonds fine and fleeting. We both knew it was melting, that the clean white perfect sheet would turn to mud and memory beneath our wandering feet. And the sun, you packed your suitcase while the droplets dripped from eaves, a slow steady erasure of the beauty that still grieves in my memory. That was the last snowfall we would ever watch as us, a silent holy sacrament without a single fuss or argument. It covered up the footprints leading to the door. It made the future blank and clean, a vast and empty floor, a possibility, cold and pure. Oh, the last snowfall, it was a gift, a beautiful cold closing, a celestial gentle lift of the burden of goodbye. Now every snowfall makes me think of endings of the hush, before the painful slow melt of a love turned into slush, and then to nothing. But I try to see it as the last one did, a temporary perfect piece of truth that must be hid beneath the white, then revealed in the thaw. The last snowfall taught me grace and flies, how to look a loved one in the face and let them go beautifully, melted by noon. Last snowfall we would ever watch as a silent holy sacrament without a single fuss or argument. It covered up the footprints leading to the door. It made the future blank and clean, a vast and empty floor, a possibility, cold and pure. Oh, the last snowfall, it was a gift, a beautiful cold closing, a celestial gentle lift of the burden of goodbye. She took the tubes of color from the shelf, a bright array of cadmium and cobalt from a Morse day. And like she squeezed them out, each vibrant shout and hue, and mixed them on her palette till the message they construed was silence with a broad she'll brush. She started on the wall, covering the yellow they used to cheer the hall with a deep and thankful gray. She painted gray over the memories in green and blue. She painted gray until the entire view was unified in sorrow in a sophisticated calm. An endless tone, it wasn't bleak, it wasn't meant to alarm, but to soothe those. She painted gray and found a world within the shade, 1,000 subtle variations that the light and shadow made on a single solemn color. The furniture looks different now, more sculptural, more stark against the neutral background in the slowly gathering dark of evening. Her own reflection in the window seems to blend into the new environment. A whisper, not a friend of color. She wears gray clothes now, not in mourning but in blend with her creation. She painted gray and it painted her. She painted gray over the memories in green and blue. She painted gray until the entire aching view was unified in sorrow in a sophisticated calm. An endless tone, it wasn't bleak, it wasn't meant to alarm, but to soothe. She painted gray and found a world within the shade, 1,000 subtle variations that the light and shadow made on a single solemn color. Maybe one day a slash of red will feel right again. A leaf outside the window, a small defiant bold belief in something else. But for now the gray is a true spectrum of rest. It holds all colors and potential, putting passion to the test of stillness. She painted gray not to erase but to contain the overwhelming brilliance of a love that caused such pain. In its vividness now, it's a masterpiece of quiet. The walls are dry. She painted gray, and the world is finally mercifully still. Don't look for the foundation, the blueprint or the plan. The architect is vanished, and the purpose to a man is lost. Though it stands is something else, a colonnade to nowhere, a staircase climbing empty air, a window framing air with stone sheet. The ruin, not a building, not a home, the beautiful enduring aftermath of the wind bleached bone of a love that fell. She, the ruin wears her damage like a crown of ivy green, a testament to what has been a majestic, tragic scene. For the ages you can trace the fire's path, you can see where the walls gave way, but the structure of the sorrow has a strange, compelling sway over the heart. Oh, she, the ruin, she doesn't hide the broken parts. She lets the sunlight through the cracks, she lets the rain fill up the jars of her hollow. People come to visit her, to marvel and decide, to project their own lost stories on her against the sky. So picturesque, they don't feel the cold that lives within the stone, the memory of the hot fire, the chill of being alone for centuries. See, the ruin is a monument to time slowing, and the terrible, breathtaking beauty that can't begin. When something ends, the ruin wears her damage like a crown of ivy green, a testament to what has been a majestic, tragic scene. For the ages you can trace the fire's path, you can see where the walls gave way, but the structure of the soul has a strange, compelling sway over the heart. Oh, she, the ruin, she doesn't hide the broken part. She lets the sunlight through the cracks, she lets the rain fill up the chart of her hollows. Maybe the ruins are more honest than the buildings that stand whole. They tell the truth of weathering, of the ever-rolling toll of the years. She, the ruin, has no use for doors or locks. She is open to the elements, she withstands the cruelest shocks of wind and memory. And one day even she will be just dust and lore, but for now she stands a ruin, asking for nothing more than to be seen as she is. Don't rebuild me, she the ruin. This is my final, beautiful form. We bought the patch of land up on the hill where the oak tree view, a stack of weathered blueprints for a life that would be new. And ours, we walk it every weekend with a picnic and a tape, measure marking where the kitchen would escape. The morning shade, you'd point to where the fireplace would crackle warm. I'd trace the imaginary walls to keep us safe from storm and cold. Now it's just an unbuilt home, a foundation made of air, a ghost of a floor plan in a world that doesn't care about our plans. The weeds grow through our staked out hopeful lines. The oak tree shades of emptiness that subtly undermines the sun. Oh, this unbuilt home It's the saddest kind of place, a monument to a future we couldn't quite embrace with both hands. I drive by sometimes just to see the for-sale sign fade in the weather. Someone else will buy it. Make the plans we made with different names that pour a real foundation. They'll raise real walls of wood, and they'll never know the ghost house, the unbuilt home that stood there first in our minds. A perfect paper palace where we were king and queen of a domestic dream that was too fragile to be seen through to the end. Now it's just an unbuilt home, a foundation made of air, a ghost of a floor plan in a world that doesn't care about our plans. The weeds grow through our staked out hopeful lines. The oak tree shades an emptiness that subtly undermines the sun. Oh, this unbuilt home is the saddest kind of place, a monument to a future we couldn't quite embrace with both hands. Maybe some dreams are meant to stay as dreams beautiful and vast. On paper the translation into lumber, glass and plaster cast. Too harsh a light. Maybe the unbuilt home is its purest form, unspoiled by leaky faucets, by the arguments that form in real rooms. So I'll let it go, let the land forget our tread. Our unbuilt home will live forever in my head, perfect and empty, just a plot of grass now, unbuilt home, a beautiful unrealized idea. Star gun, car snap. The salutation's easy, dear you, in a flowing script. The date is from last winter, when the partnership had just fractured. I poured my heart out on a page 1 and 2, a torrent of confusion of how could you do this to us. But then I got a page 3 and the anger bled to fear, and the sentences grew jagged and the path became unclear to an end in it. Now it's just an unfinished letter, document in time, a fossil of a feeling that I couldn't make round with reality. It sits there in the drawer, paper monument to all the conversations that I never truly sent your way. Oh, this unfinished letter, it's the truest thing I wrote, because it has no closure. It just hangs within my throat, and on the page unsent. Sometimes Sometimes I take it out and read the furious early lines and marvel at the passion, at the desperate designs for a fight. Then I see where my pen trailed off into a blank and white expanse of nothing. That's the moment I gave up the fight for understanding. The unfinished letter captures the exact defeat when words fail, when silence felt more bittersweet and more final. Now it's just an unfinished letter, a document in time, a fossil of a feeling that I couldn't make rhyme with reality. It sits there in the drawer, a paper monument to all the conversations that I never truly sent your way. Oh, this unfinished letter, it's the truest thing I wrote, because it has no closure. It just hangs within my throat and on the page unsent. Should I finish it now with the calm of distance with grace? But that would be a different letter for a different time and place and person. The woman who wrote those first 2 pages is gone. She was raw and she was bleeding. Now I just stumble on the unfinished letter belongs to her. Let it stay as her last will and testament. A cry that the world and the drawer stand still for in perpetuity. I close the drawer, unfinished letter, forever mid-sentence. A simple, heartfelt piano melody that feels like someone searching for the right chord. The vocal is intimate, conversational, and full of pent-up emotion. The song ends with the piano stopping on an unresolved chord, mimicking the unfinished letter. I walk the path along the river, where the willows dip and sway, and my hand feels so empty in a most specific way. It remembers the weight of yours, the fit of palm and palm this side, and steady pressure that meant I am here with you tonight. And always now my hand swings free, a useless lonely thing, an instrument without its duet, a bird that cannot sing without its partner. This unheld hand is an ache of physical regret, a space carved out by habit that I cannot seem to forget. Or feel the tingles with the ghost of your fingers laced with mine on 100 different sidewalks under a benign or stormy sky. Oh, this unheld hand, it doesn't know what to do but hang here at my side, a testament to you. In your absence, I put it in my pocket, try to give it somewhere safe to be, but the fabric isn't warm, it isn't you. See my need, I see old couples walking, hands linked like sturdy chains, and I have to look away from the simple sweet remains of a habit I have lost. My unheld hand curls into a fist, a brief and angry protest against the tender list of things tangles with the ghost of your fingers laced with mine on 100 different sidewalks under urban line, a stormy sky. Oh, this unheld hand, it doesn't know what to do but hang here at my side, a testament to you. Self-contained embrace, or maybe I'll just let it dangle in empty, open space. In the air, a reminder that I was capable of touch, that I trusted someone else to need my hand this much. This unheld hand is proof of love in its lonely, vacant state. It's not a lack, it's an echo. It's not empty, it's just weighted with memory. Just one hand, unheld hand, learning the shape of gentle, finger-capricci guitar, a sorrowful cello reminder spoils the vocal melody. The production is intimate and warm. The song ends with the sound of the guitar being set down. It sits on the nightstand, a book with a lock and key, a leather-bound confession that no one else will see or hear. I filled it every evening with the ink of my despair, with all the things I couldn't say, the weight I couldn't bear. Give to you, it holds a raw and edited and true account of loving you, the version just for my own view. In the silence, it's an unread diary, a monologue in the dark, a one-sided conversation that I couldn't ever mark. I sent the pages ache with everything I held inside. The love, the fear, the fury, the pathetic, wounded pride I couldn't show. This unread diary, it's the story of the crack between my heart and my mouth, the things I can't take back because they were never said. That you're gone, I sometimes think of burning it or throwing it away, but it feels like killing a witness, like silence in the say of my own soul. It's proof I felt it deeply, wildly and in pain. Even if the object of it all will never know the rain of words, and here the unread diary is my testament, my proof against the accusation of aloofness, of being aloof from my own heart. It's an unread diary, a monologue in the dark, a one-sided conversation that I couldn't ever mark. I sent the pages ache with everything I held inside. The love, the fear, the fury, the pathetic, wounded pride I couldn't show. This unread diary, oh, it's the story of the crack between brave enough to read it back myself, to face the woman in the pages, to put her on a shelf of understanding. But for now it stays closed. The key is lost or thrown. Let the words stay trapped with her in a world of their own. The unread diary is a tomb for a living, breathing truth that died from lack of air, from lack of finding a booth in the marketplace of us. In silent paper form, a poignant solo piano piece. The melody should feel personal, like a thought process, occasional. Very subtle string swells can emphasize emotional peaks. The song ends with the sound of a book being gently closed. They placed it on my head the day you said you'd be my king. A circlet made of daisies and a promises to bring. A kingdom of sad mornings, I wore it with a foolish pride. A ruler of a heartland with you steadfast by my side. My consort, it was light, it was a delicate floral thing, but it meant more than diamonds. It was the pledge that spring would be eternal. Now it's just a wilted crown, a brown and brittle ring, a symbol of a sovereignty that couldn't do a thing to keep you. The petals curl like ancient crumbling lace, a monarchy of memory in this solitary space. I govern now this wilted crown, it sits upon a shelf, a relic of the day I foolishly crowned myself Queen of the Ghosts. I take it down on anniversaries of the day we met, the day you left, and feel the fragile stems give way of every hope bereft. With moisture it smells like dust, and of a sweetness long gone sour. A perfect pointing emblem of my diminished power. To love or be loved, the wilted crown is my most honest regalia. No pretense of glory, just the quiet slow failure of a dream to hold its shape. Now it's just a wilted crown, a brown and brittle ring, a symbol of a sovereignty that couldn't do a thing to keep you. The petals curl like ancient crumbling lace, a monarchy of memory in this solitary space. I govern now this wilted crown, it sits upon a shelf, a relic of the day I foolishly crowned myself Queen of the Ghosts. Maybe all crowns are temporary, woven from the hour's bloom. Their purpose is to celebrate, then to accept the doom of time. And there I'll let this one disintegrate, return to earth, and knowledge that my reign was brief and of a modest worth to anyone but me. I'll rule now without symbols, without throne, a quiet democratic state of being on my own. The wilted crown can be the last Striped flowers, wilted crown, the end of a brief sweet rain. A heart plays a stately royal melody, get and roll softly, strings add a sense of falling.